Hey everyone, Presito here. So in today's video, we're going to be doing a Launchpad tier list, which is really exciting because I think pre-sales are starting to kind of take off a little bit and hype is coming back, which is awesome. And I wanted to cover Launchpads which I think are good and the ones I think are not good. And I've been asked quite a lot recently on Telegram and Twitter and so on, which ones I think are worth buying and investing in. And in this video, we're going to be going over all of them, the pros and cons, and which ones I think are pro. So before watching, I really recommend you guys to follow me on Twitter and to join my Telegram group. That's where I'm always active and discussing everything. Always a lot of questions and good discussions regarding pre-sales and investing in projects in pre-sale phase and which launch pads are good and so on. So definitely join those. I definitely think it's worthwhile joining. So before I start, I actually want to go through my old tier list that I made in 2021. So some throwback to when times were really crazy. And you can see here the ratings. Polkastarter was S with BSCPad, DaoMaker was A, and TrustSwap was B. So you can see here some projects will have improved, some will have gone down in the ratings, and some are gone completely. A lot of projects just died, fell right off the map. They're just inactive and took advantage of the bull phase we had. So that's something also to consider. A lot of projects just die off. And one thing also to keep in mind with Launchpads is I do recommend people to kind of look at it as kind of a Ponzi. I don't want to insult any Launchpads, but if you look at them, you could consider some being like that, because if you buy the tokens during, for example, 2021 peak bull phase, at the peak, you got into some pre-sales, but you had to stake your tokens. Meanwhile, the price of the token dumps. You're making your profits with the pre-sales, but the token is dumping. So in the end, you kind of even out or even make a bit of a loss. So really, a big factor to consider is getting in early enough to where you're getting the token at a cheap price point. So if anything, it could even go up. And if you have to stake it for a long time, it doesn't really matter because you didn't have to invest such a big amount to get decent allocations. Also, a lot of projects, what they have is if you stake the tokens, you get your pre-sale allocation monthly due to a lockup. If you unstake the tokens, sometimes it cancels out your whole allocation. So that's also something to keep in mind. Obviously, it's hard to tell if now is early, but we'll be going through all the prices, market caps, and so on of each project and seeing which ones seem early enough and what allocations are good compared to how much you need to invest. I think that's always important. So to be able to rate and judge which launchpads are pro, I'll be using 3 different metrics. The activity, which is how often they have pre-sales. Obviously, if they don't have pre-sales, then it's cuck. Next up is the ROI and the quality of projects. Obviously, even if the activity is really good, but everything sucks, then it's also not a good launchpad. And then lastly, allocation size. How much allocation do you get per pre-sale, considering how many tokens you need to hold? For example, some Launchpads, you need $10,000 and you get $200 allocation, whereas others, you need $2,000 of tokens and you get 10,000 allocation. So that's also a really important factor. You know, if the activity is really good, the ROI is really good, but your allocation is $5, then it's not so pro. So those are all things I'm going to be considering when rating these projects. Also, if there's any other factors you guys think is important when rating Launchpads, let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear, but those are the 3 I believe are the most important. So first project we're going to be covering is DaoMaker. And DaoMaker has been around for a really long time. They've been consistently active regardless of the market condition, which is really good. And the returns have also been really solid. Obviously a bit shaky maybe during the bear season we had, but still really good overall. Let's have a look at their crypto rank. So here we can see the pre-sales they've hosted since their inception. You can see recently they've already done 4 projects in 2023, which is really good. There's DJinzu and Crypto GPT coming up, which are super hyped. Also during the bear patch we had last year, they also had some pre-sales, which at all-time high did actually decently well. Obviously current ROI is a bit lower, but as I always tell everyone, when you invest in pre-sales, take out your initial, ride the rest. That's always the best way to handle it. So in terms of the activity, definitely super pro. In terms of the price, obviously the market cap's quite high at the moment, so that's a factor to consider. But that's just because they are the best, in my opinion, or at least one of the best. Also, if you on my Telegram, I actually said Jan 18th that I think it's worth investing in DaoMaker to get in early. And this was, if you look at the price back then, 18th of Jan, it was around 80 cents. And now it's $1.7, double your money, plus you get all allocations. So definitely join my Telegram group. We discuss things like this all the time. So DaoMaker has public offerings in DAO and BUSD allocations and private SHO for DaoMaker holders. You need to stake at least 250 DAO to be eligible for the SHO. And the more you stake, the more guaranteed allocation you get. This is for the SHO. Then the public offering allocation is determined by your score. Firstly, you need at least $500 worth of tokens across your wallets. Doesn't matter which chain it's on. And that will make you eligible to participate. You can increase that score by doing their social tweeting and sharing posts and so on. Then you can get 10 points per $10,000 in your wallet. So if you store a lot in your wallet, increases your chance of getting allocation. Then you can also refer friends and so on to increase your points. DaoMaker has a ticket system where depending on your score, you can win tickets worth a certain amount. This is highly dependent on the amount of dollars and points committed to a pool. So for example, there's it's not 100 million. They say there's $1 million allocation, but there's 200 million committed. Obviously the allocations per person will be smaller. So it really depends on how many points you have to get as many points as possible. Then DaoMaker also has a fee system, which is over here. So all the public SHO winners pay a 30% fee on their tokens. Whereas if you stake DAO token, it will only be 20%. So due to all these factors, I must rank DaoMaker S tier. It is really still the best launchpad at the moment. Really consistent, good returns, and definitely worth participating in my opinion. So that definitely gets an S tier. Next up, I'm going to be talking about TrustSwap. So TrustSwap has been around for a really long time, since 2020. You can see over here. They peaked like every project in 2021, but at the moment, they've actually doubled, almost tripled in price since the recent all-time low, but it's still low compared to the all-time high, of course. Market cap around 42 million. So let's have a look at some of their activity and previous launches. So you can see here recently they had Carbon, which is what really pushed their hype, did 41x at all-time high, and they had really good allocations through their Launchpads, which I'll go through shortly. Then in September and June and May last year, they also had some launches, obviously a little break when projects didn't do too well. So the activity is quite decent. And the ROI, especially in 2021, was really good. They had some shaky ROIs and projects, middle of early 2022 and so on, as you can see. But so far, they look really promising. It's good that they're active, so that makes me bullish. And the upcoming sale, Podfast, actually was 33 times oversubscribed, which is just insane. The hype is really going crazy. We can see here their allocations for Carbon and for Podfast and the staking score required for that allocation. So you can see for Carbon, people got really insane allocations. The top one, you got 70,000 and it went 41. So that's really incredible gains. Where for Podfast, since it's 33 times oversubscribed, you can see here the allocations are much lower. So you're probably wondering, how do you get the staking score? What do you need to do? And it's actually really simple. Basically, the score depends on how much swap you stake at what multiplier. So 30 days is 1x multiplier, 90 days 1.25, and so on, as you can see by this chart. So if you stake 1,000 tokens for 5 years, that's 5,000. So if you stake 100,000 for 5 years, that's 1 million. Stake 82,000 for 3 years, that's 410,000, and so on. It's quite straightforward. You can see what you would get for those allocations. Also, the allocation sizes for the Launchpads then depend on your stake score in relation to the total stake score of everyone else that applied. So if you hold a larger percentage of the pool, you get a larger allocation. For example, if they're raising 1 million and you are the only one who applied, you get all 1 million to yourself. Alternatively, if many other people applied and you had 1% of the points of the pool, then you get 10,000. And that's like the allocation chart I showed you for Podfast and Carbon, the comparison. So overall, TrustSwap is really good. You can also see if you're in the top 1,000 of stakers, you get to join an exclusive chat group called the TrustSwap VIP Community Council, which I'm sure there's a lot of alpha in that group. So if you're a whale or something and you want to be top 1,000, could be really worthwhile. So TrustSwap gets a A. Definitely, it's really pro and I think worthwhile getting into. Next up, we're going to have a look at Polkastarter. So Polkastarter, if you're an OG, you know this was one of the most hyped launchpads in 2021. It had insane returns, often getting over 100x. So you can see here the price, and this price kind of tells a story of what's happening with them at the moment. They've kind of been inactive, and around this time they made some announcements. As you can see, the price went up a little bit because of those announcements. But people kind of realize, okay, when's the next presale coming? It's just not coming at all. So the price has been bleeding and bleeding, whereas DaoMaker has been going up and up because they've announced a lot of presales. So if we have a look at their activity recently, last one was in August 2022. Since then, nothing, not even a sign of projects coming up, which is really concerning. And their returns obviously are very good when they had projects. So everyone's hoping that they will make a comeback. You can see their Twitter's even really active. They've got daily posts and so on. Just everyone's waiting for announcement of a sale. So if you took part in Polkastarter, you'll probably know how it worked, but I'll give you a rundown if you don't know. Basically, you needed to hold at least 250 Polkz in your wallet for 7 days. The more you have, the higher chance you have to get whitelisted. You hold, or you can hold the LP token on PancakeSwap or Uniswap for 7 days, or stake Polkz on their website. So it was as simple as that to get in, and the allocations were quite decent for the projects. People always made some nice gains. So everyone's just hoping that they make an announcement, make a comeback. But until then, unfortunately, I have to rate D tier, because they've just not been around and just been sadly really inactive. So let's hope they make a comeback. Next up is BSCPad. So if you followed BSCPad before, you'll know the crazy hype that comes with Bluezilla incubated projects. And recently there was AIPad, which launched, which did almost 100x, which is just insane. And that's not just because the tokens were unlocked, it still sat at above 50x after all the tokens were released to private sale investors. So that is really solid. And you're almost certain that when you invest in a Bluezilla project, that the returns will just be insane. You can see the token price of BSCPad. Obviously, they have a lot of different pads where they have the sales on, but BSCPad is the main one. You can see the price is about 3x from all-time low, recent all-time low at least, which is not too bad. And you can see they're the second best performing according to CryptoRank of all the launchpads after DaoMaker. If we have a look at their recent activity, you can see they also had a break from August last year when pre-sales started to do cuck. But now AIPad was released and it did really good, so the hype could be building up, and I'm sure they're going to be releasing more on AIPad and other platforms as well, which is definitely worth keeping an eye on. If we have a look at their website, we can see their allocation model, how it all works. Basically, they have bronze, silver, gold, platinum, diamond, and blue diamond with different staking requirements. For bronze, silver, and gold, you get lottery tickets, and for platinum, diamond, and blue, you get guaranteed allocation. The only downside, in my opinion, with BSCPad is their allocations tend to be quite small. I hear from some people, for example, they get even like $5 worth at DGE for AIPad, but keep in mind, when 50x, so that's still $250. So it's not negligible gains. It's still something. So I definitely have to keep it at A tier. I think it's still really solid. And yeah, let's move on now to SolRazr. So SolRazr, as you can see, the price is still really low. It's almost 2x from all-time low. And I think this is a really interesting one, because this is one where your allocation is really good compared to how much you put in. And I'll show you that a little bit later. So let's have a look at the recent activities. You can see they've been decently active, at least more than some of the others. This year already they have Deep Waters and Yom, and they had some projects in October and August last year. Yom was 2 times oversubscribed, so it's looking quite good for that. Also, they have some really interesting concepts with refunds, which I'll go through as well. But let's have a look at their allocation model first. So you get 5 different tiers: soil, seed, sapling, tree, and mighty oak. Mighty oak being 50,000 SolRazr you need to stake. And if you remember the price, we looked at it, that's only $2,000 worth. Soil being really, really a small amount. But Mighty Oak, you stake 50,000 SolRazr tokens. And then if we have a look at the latest sale, which was Yom, which is 100% on TGE, if you had the Mighty Oak, which is the highest, you would get $12,000 allocation. So I think for SolRazr, it's definitely one to keep an eye on, because you just put in $2,000 and you can get $12,000 allocation. And even for the private round, you could have got 10,000. And even if you have the soil round, you get $400 allocation. So it's really good allocations. Obviously, for the future projects, it could become more diluted. But at this price point, I think it's a good risk-reward ratio. Also, what makes it a very good risk-reward ratio is they have a refund system. So basically, with SolRazr, they refund you if the token trades below the IDO price for at least 6 hours out of the first 24 hours of trading, as long as you don't move those tokens around. So that is really, you can see an IDO price guarantee. So they refund you completely. So in my opinion, that really makes it such low risk. Worst case, if it's trading below IDO, you just refund it and get your money back. So not much to lose. And because of all those factors, I must definitely give SolRazr an A tier. So I'm really impressed with them. And they always have really solid projects. And yeah, we discuss their projects in my channel, just like all other Launchpads. So make sure to join my Telegram so you can keep up to date with all the latest launches, with all the pre-sales. Next up, we have Camelot, which is a Launchpad and a DEX on Arbitrum, which if you've been following it, Arbitrum is picking up tons of hype. It's really going to be a huge L2. And here you can see how much it's actually blown up. If we have a look at their recent activity, they're very new. Since November, their actual token launched. Then they had Nutrafinance, Trove, and Factor, which Trove and Factor didn't have a hard cap, and it's an auction. So those tend to be really risky if you're getting into it, because anyone who wants to get in can get in, and it's usually at an inflated price, and then people just panic sell and it goes down. Whereas Nutra had a hard cap, and their next sale will also have a hard cap. So that makes me more bullish on the upcoming ones. You can see here for Factor, initially the auction will start with a fully diluted value of 10 million, fixing a $0.1 floor price, and will increase after the first 1 million have been raised. Once those 1 million are reached, they enter a price discovery phase, which the price continuously increases at every purchase. As you can see how it went here, just went up and up and up. It was supposed to, you can see a 0.1 floor price, ended up listing at 0.8 almost. So you're already buying at 8x, and then once it launched, it went down. So in my opinion, it's best to avoid the sales that are like this and focus on the ones that have a hard cap. For example, with JustBet winner, which is coming up, I made a video on that as well. My last video, check that out. Here there will be a whitelist that you can get through JustBet themselves or through xGrail, which is the token of Camelot. And through this, if you hold xGrail and allocate to the Launchpad plugin, you'll get exclusive whitelist access for a total of 1 million of allocation, which obviously will be shared between everyone, capped to $25,000 a wallet. So there's potential for decent allocation with that. Total hard cap is 3 million. Unlike the others, which went up crazy amount, this is a total of 3 million. So it's really, really promising. So for Camelot, I will definitely rate it a B. I think it's up and coming. If they have hard caps and they start performing better, then I think it's more solid, but it's definitely one you must keep your eye on. I think it's a really solid platform. Next up, we have Enjinstarter. This has also been around for a really long time. You can see recently the price has gone up since they've been making some more announcements. So that's good. The activity is quite decent. You can see here their recent activity. Carbon is really hard, so that boosted them quite a lot with the 41x all-time high. And they also had quite a lot of projects recently which didn't do too bad. You can see some questionable like this one, but on average they did quite decently, especially at the all-time high and getting your initial out. That's always what is the most important. So if you want to participate in sales with Enjinstarter, how can you do that? Firstly, you need to KYC on BlockPass. Only need to do that once, and then you're fine for all the sales. Then you need to buy their token, and you need to stake it before participating in any IDO through this link. First come, first serve requires 1,250 tokens, whereas 25,000 will give you guaranteed allocation. And allocation would depend project to project and how much demand there is for it. So Enjinstarter for me gets a B tier as well. They're really solid overall, and I think they deserve that B tier for now. Obviously, these are all to keep an eye on. Next up, we have Kite, which rebranded to Firebird. You can see the token is not doing too well. They haven't been very active. You can see their sales. I mean, it is a bit more active than other ones, but the ROI has been quite bad, to be honest. There's some exceptions, but mostly it's been quite bad. You can't even get your initial, and then it just bleeds to death. If you want to join Kite presale, I'll go through that anyways, even though I don't think it's that pro of a Launchpad at the moment, unless they prove themselves. You can see they have 3 different staking pools, and you can get Dove, Hawk, Eagle, or Phoenix. This is how much you need to stake to get each one. Dove 500, Hawk 5,000, Eagle 20,000, and Phoenix 60,000. And this is all the benefits you get with guaranteed allocation from Hawk upwards. However, to be honest, I'm not too bullish on Kite, and I will put it down here by D tier with Polkastarter. Yes, they're active more than Polkastarter, but their ROIs aren't that good. So it's one to keep an eye on. Maybe they improve, but for now, I think it's deserving of a D. Next up, we've got Seedify. You can see Seedify's market cap's actually quite high. They've always been really active. The price of the token at the moment is actually quite low and near the all-time low, actually. If we have a look at their recent activities, you can see they are decently active with project launches here that didn't do too well, to be honest. But in general, their projects did have a decent all-time high to get out your initial. If we have a look at their tier system, you can see here they have all different tiers with different pool weights. And guaranteed allocation is from tier 2 upwards. For tier 2, you need 1,000 S fund, which is $1,000, the price being around $1. So it is already quite steep. And the tier 9, the max one, is 100,000, which is quite crazy, $100,000 for that. But you can see here the pool weights you get, guaranteed allocation from tier 2, and the amount of S fund you need. So for Seedify, I'll put that at a C tier, just because they've been around for so long, they've been active, and they've had some decent projects. Next up, we're going to talk about Poolz, and they also pumped quite a bit because of that carbon sale that was also through their website. You can see here they're up almost 4x, or actually a bit more than 4x from all-time low, the recent all-time low at least. And if you have a look at their all-time highest price, it was up to $50. Current market cap, 15 million. They really are quite active, I must say. You can see here, out of all the ones we've gone through, they are probably the most active with at least one IDO per month, with Carbon in February, which was really good. Deep Waters, which wasn't too pro, and Mizo coming up. You can see to be eligible for guaranteed allocation, you need to buy at least 250 pools at $4. That's around $1,000. You need to connect your wallet, lock your pools token for the desired period of time, complete whitelist, and purchase it. If you want to be part of the Poolz Council, you need 20,000 pools. That gives you a right to vote for future IDOs. Top 100 holders will have a higher allocation weight. And yeah, they have a guaranteed allocation. So it's, the old lottery has been replaced with a guaranteed allocation. If you have at least 250 pools staked for at least 7 days, which I already went through. Then they have a new lottery system for any user who locks a minimum of 150 to 249 pools for at least 7 days will enter a lottery where you will receive allocation for a project, if you're lucky, of course. So for me, Poolz also gets a C tier rating. They're also really solid. They're really active, but it could be a bit questionable, some of the projects. So now let's move on to the next one, which is MemePad. MemePad, they really focus on memes, obviously, and very micro cap projects. So you can see their price here pumped quite a bit since they became a bit more active. Obviously, they're also low market cap, so that's what causes it to fluctuate so crazy. You can see also it was much, much higher during peak meme bull market. You can see the allocation level. If you're a pleb, then you have 10,000 tokens you need to stake. Chad is 69,000 and Elon is 420,000. This is the various pool weights, all guaranteed allocations. Obviously, allocations will be very small because the raises themselves are very small. But I think if memes are good, it's worth a C tier. So it's worth keeping an eye on if memes pick up and checking their price and see if it's worth getting in. And lastly, we have PinkSale, which is kind of an honorable mention. This is really a degen kind of pre-sale site. A lot of the things are rugs and just never take off, but there's a lot of hidden gems on this website and it's relatively easy to participate. Most of the time you don't even have to rush and so on. So this one I give a D, just because I wouldn't actually recommend much investing in this unless you're really a degen or know something about a project that maybe your friend is doing or something like that. It's really easy to launch on there and so on. So overall, this is my Launchpad rating. Let me know in the comments what you think of my rating. Feel free to let me know if I missed any. I know there's tons of Launchpads, but these are the ones I really wanted to focus on that I think are decently active and worth actually covering. If I missed any, definitely let me know in the comments. I'm curious to know. Make sure to join my Telegram, join my Twitter. Always really active there, especially now that pre-sales are picking up. I think it's worth joining those and being active. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.